Before we can take our model into Substance Painter, we need to break out or define what parts of the model are particular materials and colors, etc. So if we bring in a reference image here, let's create a new window, and I'll change this to a UV image editor, and let's bring in one of these reference images that we were looking at before. Maybe this one here. Let's bring this one in. And if we look at this closely, it looks to me like there are a couple of different materials going on here. It's all pretty much the same color, but if you look very closely, it looks like the shoulder rest here is a different material than the main part of the gun, which is actually a different material from the hand grip and this piece here, as well as the trigger. So there are different types of materials on this, and we need to be able to split these out so that in Substance Painter we can apply different materials and textures to each part. Now it's kind of hard to see here. I guess we could take this, for example, and this up here, and also the magazine bag. Those are all very clearly different materials. So we need to mark these areas so that Substance Painter can treat these as different materials on this singular object, because we're going to bring this in with just a single material as a single object. So to differentiate between the different materials, we're going to use vertex colors. And in Substance Painter, it will see those as a color ID map. So let's work on that. Let's start breaking these out by material. First of all, let's begin with the materials for the shoulder rest, the scope, and it looks like the top of this magazine bag is about the same kind of material as well. Maybe a dark plastic. So what let's do is tab into edit mode here, and let's begin selecting these pieces on their own. So I'll just hover over this and press the L key, and in addition I'll select the scope up here, just hitting the L key, and maybe this area right here. So now I've got these two selected, and you'll notice that there's UV islands here in my viewport. What we can do to get rid of these is change from view to paint, and now we see all of them. But then over here under view, we can turn off show texture paint UVs, and now that cleans up our image here. So these are some pieces that we want to mark as an individual material. Let's go over to Vertex Paint right here. And in the Vertex Paint area, I want to turn this on right down here, this face selection masking for painting. I'll turn that on. And now you can see these pieces are selected. So what we need to do is select a color. Maybe let's just give it a blue. And I'll also create a new palette. I'll click New, and that creates this little plus minus thing, and I'll click the plus, and that creates a palette for the blue. So if I need to come back and select or apply this exact color, I can come back and do that. Now that I've selected that blue, I'll just come here to the 3D view and press Shift K, and that will apply that color to the selected areas. All right, I'll hit Tab to go back to edit mode. And we also said that the top of the magazine case here needed to be that same material. So I'll hit A to deselect everything, and maybe I'll press Alt and click between these two faces here, and then I'll press Control plus and expand my selection down like that. Now I'll hit Tab to go back to Vertex Paint and Shift K to apply that color there. All right, so we have that applied. Let's think about another part of the gun here. How about the hand grip, trigger, and this piece here? Let's work on that. So I'll hover over these and press the L key, and then I'll tab into Vertex Paint. Now we need to give ourselves a new color. I'll maybe swing this around to a red, hit the plus so we save that color for any future needs, and then I'll come over here and press Shift K, and that adds that color to that selection. All right, tab back to edit mode, and how about the bag of the magazine case here? Let's maybe select these faces here with Alt click there, and then Control plus and move those on up to there. Tab into Vertex Paint. Let's give it a new color because this is a whole new material. Add a palette and Shift K. There we go. All right. So what else do we see here? I think this piece right up here, this hand grip, is probably a wood with paint on it. So let's give this a whole new material as well. I'll select that. Tab into Vertex Paint, and for this let's give it, well, I don't know, how about an orange? Add it as a palette, Shift K, and we have that. Now how about these pieces up here? Let's get these. Actually, before we do these, before we get into that really tiny detail here, let's get the material for the whole gun first. In fact, maybe that's what I should have done at the beginning, but one thing we can do is come in here and just hover over these pieces that we already have colored and hit the L key, and we can select the pieces we've already done here like this. Tab back into edit mode, and now we can invert our selection. Over here under select, you've got inverse, which is Control I. So I'll just press Control I, and now that selects everything else. I'll tab back into Vertex Paint, and let's give it a new color, maybe, how about a purple? Why not? And Shift K. So there we go. So now we should have the whole gun with at least some sort of material. Let's go in and add a little bit to this right here. So I'll select this loop of faces and press Control plus to expand the selection there. Alt Shift and select these. And then we also want to get these up here too. But before I do that, I'll go ahead and just go over to Vertex Paint and let's find a new color. How about a turquoise or something like that? And Shift K. And then we want this up here as well. So I'll hit the C key for circle select and just choose those, and Control plus to expand the selection. And now I'll press Shift K here to add that as well. All right. So I think that's pretty good for the amount of materials we have. There may be others that I'm not seeing right now. In fact, actually, you know what? I think this piece here looks to me about to be very similar to the hand grip. Let me hit Control plus or Control up arrow and take a look at that. Yeah, it looks to me like this piece on top is very similar to the hand grip. I might make that the same. And just for interest's sake, I might make this piece right here the same as the hand grip as well. So let's do that. Let's do those two. So let's go back to edit mode, and I'll hit L while I hover over that piece. And the color we want is for the hand grip here, right? We were going to make this the same. So I need to go back to the red, and that right here is why I've created these palettes, so I can go back to the exact color. So now I'll hit Shift K, and there we go. All right, so also this piece under here, let's go ahead and make this one the same as the hand grip as well. I will select this scope and hide it with the H key, and that will allow me to then grab this and these. And what I should do, I think, is go to my side view, and I'll just border select the remaining ones here like that. Now let's bring everything back with Alt-H, and I need to deselect these pieces, so what I can do is press Shift-L, and that will deselect these pieces. Now if I tab back into Vertex Paint, my red is still selected, and I'll press Shift-K, and that adds that there. All right. I think that is what we need for our color ID map. So in the next video, what let's do is take this object, export it out as an FBX file, and in addition, we will export out the high poly version here as an FBX file. We'll take both of those into Substance Painter, and we'll generate a normal map, an ambient occlusion map, and we'll delineate our materials by the color ID map.